Hi everyone, I'm Echoes and I'm a Vtuber. So, something I kind of am doing spontaneous right now is that I'm actually going to be reacting to the Ancient Magus Bride Season 2. At least for episode 1 so far, I'm a bit unsure about the rest. It's because, if you don't know, the Ancient Magus Bride is actually one of the series I would say is one of my favorites. I wouldn't say it's a top favorite, but it has a great deal of sentimental value for me, as the main character Chise is a lot like myself in personality and to a degree in history. She and Natsume from Natsume Jincho are probably the two anime characters who are like the most like myself. So because of that, it's sort of in a way seeing someone who is very much like myself going through their own trials and tribulations, if that makes any sense. So yeah. And I just watched the first episode today and I was like, man, because it's been at least 5 or more years since the last season, since season 1, and we have gotten a few OVAs and teasers and things, but it's kind of it's like so nostalgic to once more get a series that means a lot to me, but also is in general a pretty solid series. Though I have to say, generally I do prefer the earlier arcs before this one. The college arc I'm kind of a little mixed on, but it is important in regards to Chise's development as a person. It sort of like is a steady progression of herself, especially as she's learning to sort of move a bit more out of her bubble and meet with other peers who are very much like herself, instead of just keeping herself always with the same group of people, if that makes sense. So yeah. So in a way, she's truly going off to college and meeting new people, experiencing new things, that kind of thing. So yeah, so it's kind of nice to see. Kind of wild though when I first started learning about Ancient Magus Bride, I was around her age, and now I'm so much older. Pain. Anyway, but yeah, let's get started. So, in the very beginning, we get this such really cool like beginning sequence. I'm not gonna spoil the whole thing because I also can't show the whole thing anyway because it's really long. But it's a really interesting opening sequence as it sort of replaces when she first is entering this school or college. It's like because in other promotional trailers they show what's closer to the manga, but here they're kind of doing their own thing because the Ancient Magus Bride season 2 and the more recent OVAs are adapted by Studio Kafna, which is pretty much studio that's only involved with working on Ancient Magus Bride related things, which is kind of amazing. They're kind of similar to the studio that is working on Mushoku Tensei, where they also are only adapting Mushoku Tensei. In a way, it shows that they're incredibly hyper-focused on one particular series that they want to excel in. And because Ancient Magus Bride is getting that treatment, you could see that the studio is going more above and beyond than typical anime studios would. Especially like in this opening sequence, which is just a mix of like CG and 2D. It's like a really amazing blend of CG and 2D with all these like amazing like 2D/3D graphics. Like in the beginning, you have like the planets surrounded by these students in their uniforms. And then you have this like red crystal, which is met by this girl right here, who is probably one of the most important characters in the arc. If it's the same person, I think it is. Or it's representing the obtaining of knowledge. It's like a sort of embodiment of the college arc and also possibly just the college itself, about how like the crystallization of knowledge, that kind of thing, and magic and all sorts of stuff. You see all these students are surrounded by these crystals, which is an interesting visualization. And then we get under the ocean with all these like floating like pillars or buildings. Not really sure if these represent anything, but it's definitely a really cool sequence that you can see the cameras like soaring or swimming through so quickly. See the creature that passes by, and then also right here we have this book. So if I can remember, this arc involves like a certain book that has a lot of like secrets for whatever reason. So I'm wondering if this part just showcases or hints at this book that has like full of like important knowledge for whatever reason. And then we go up to the surface. And then I really like this sequence too, where we pretty much go through a set of doors. So we start with like we go through a passageway that changes with the seasons. We have fall, and then it transfers to winter. Then we go to spring, and then we go to summer. And then after that, we reach this table, which is full of the professors or teachers at this college. And then we meet the headmaster right here, which is this lady. Here she comes, and you see, this is when Chise is first entering the school. She's going through the passageway. And yeah. And then she's with Elias, and also she's with Ruth, who's in her shadow. And then we get the opening. So yeah, so in a way, we get like an incredibly strong start. And now with the opening, I'll probably break it down a little briefly, though it doesn't hint as much. So we get like it's more like a hint about what's coming up. So in the beginning, we have these 7 pillars, which represent the different parts of the school. See, like the dorms, book management, waste disposal. And then we have we have this white-haired character with the purple eyes, and then who's crossed by Chise, and then we have a shot of the other students. And then we have Lucy here, who's in the dark hair, who is Chise's roommate. Then a shot of the other students again. We get a shot of the professors, or not professors. This is Elias's. What do you call it? It's like what's the word? It's like people that he's acquainted with. Yes. So we have the guy on the left, who's the keeper of dragons. I forgot his name. So he's keeper of dragons who helped raise Elias. We have this lady with the dark hair and darker skin. She is also one of Elias's teachers. On the very right, we have this church priest who's sort of watching over Elias. So these are his people he's acquainted with. Then we have these two who have kind of like a very interesting history with each other. Then we have some more students, and then we go back to the professors and teachers again, more teachers again. Then we have Chise pretty much surrounded by a lot of fae here. Then we have them starting class, and in the middle is actually Elias. We'll see why in the next episode, since for some reason they're rearranged. I was looking at the manga chapter real quick just before that. That's matches with this episode, and he actually doesn't transform yet, which is a little interesting. But maybe they're just sort of switching things around a little bit. But for the most part, it's very faithful. Then you see that Chise here is surrounded by poppies. It's like her flower, due to how it reminds her of her mother specifically. Then we have Elias, and then we have Silky and Ruth, all in this flower field right here. And yeah. We get the bird, we get the thorn with Elias. Him transforming into the girl, because he could change forms. And yeah. Elias also transforming here. We get the phoenix, which also represents Chise from a previous episode, and a lot of interesting supernatural creatures. You get Joseph, who's the immortal. And this girl again, who's important to this arc. Then also get a lot of her friends and people she's known from the first season. You know, a lot of the leaves and things. And then we also get a screenshot of all the students. So yeah. Sort of hinting what's to come. What has so far happened and what has come so far. And what will come in the future. Then this guy is pretty much the person who was inviting Chise to go to the college. That's a school for sorcerers and a mutual aid organization. So he's trying to convince her right now. Why should Chise go there when she's already skilled? Yeah. Because Elias right here is currently her teacher, it's very much, he's very pretty proficient with teaching her stuff. So he's that's why he's asking. And Chise is a slave beggy, so she's very much a magical battery. So being a slave beggy, Chise has 2 curses. Yeah. So she's 2 curses. So she has Curse of the Dragon because she has a dragon sealed in her right arm, which is why her left arm, correction, which is why it's black. That's from the end of season 1. Due to something involving like a dragon egg and stuff. I don't remember the exact details. It's been a while, but yeah. So she has that curse, and then she's a curse of immortality because she swapped eyes with Joseph, the wandering Jew, who's currently sealed near their house right here. So Paul come as insensitive. Research, she's too good of opportunity. So why he's inviting her is because she's kind of a good research subject. And it'd be better for her to be in a place where they could research her, I guess. And also supporting her, even with her curses. We arrange for you to take classes with the other students. Yeah, because she hasn't been back to school in a long time since she started doing her magic training. But she did at least go to like middle school and to degree high school, I think. Shouldn't you reach the maximum compensation we can offer? You'll find a way to lift the curses. So in a way, it's sort of allowing her to be in an environment outside of her current one, where she's already kind of achieved everything she could, and now she's going somewhere else, where she could possibly receive more help. And then she's right here talking with Elias. Don't want prodding at you. I've been thinking for a while now about how I don't know anything. And it's why I default to sacrificing myself whenever there's a need. Yeah, because Chise in general doesn't have a lot of self-worth. She doesn't really have much confidence in herself. It comes a lot with her upbringing and how she was raised and how she was viewed by people. So, in a way, this experience would possibly be good for her. Even though people tell me that's a bad thing. A lot of people tell her that. And she'd still, I don't understand why that's bad. Yeah, so in a way, she still has much to learn. And there's plenty for her to grow. You get flashbacks to her past and people she's met. But if there are things I can learn, in order to not have to sacrifice myself to solve problems, if I could accomplish what I want without hurting anyone, I want to learn that. But yeah, so in a way, this opportunity is very good for her because by being able to be in this new environment, she can learn new things that could better herself. Might be of help to me or someone else someday. They might dissect you. And yeah, Elias will be helping her. And the funny thing is he says that he's going to attend to college with her. Huh? That's funny. And yes, here, yeah, so she meets with Liza, who's the president of the college. And that they'll repay her someday. And you can see that the president is giving her a flower. Place exists to protect and nurture not just you, but everyone. Try not to be complacent and make yourself at home. Yeah, so I really like how welcoming the president is. Ainsworth will be a visiting instructor, so that's how he's going to stay with her. You see that these two are seeming a little bit, but also shows that Chise here is very much strong-willed and also is independent too. So she's not as much reliant on other people as she may have used to be. Also, she's asking about the sky underground, about using sorcery. project the sky from a different location. Also, what I like here is that they have a pretty smart like laptop or screen, because they have the card that's a polymetal card they use to chip. And you can see, I really like projections like this, where they have the 3D models and how like he's using the screen as a touch screen. It's a really nice attention to detail that I don't remember was in the manga. And you can see how they have these really nice infographics. So they explain the structure of the school with its different towers, and they're all underground. Each tower is served by different floors. And then he, this guy with the glasses mentions that there's someone who wants to meet her, which is this caterpillar lady. So in a way, she's probably a mix of a person and a fae, which is why she's like that. We've had that happen before in more in season 1, but we haven't met that many people like that yet. And she's in charge of the medical room. So in a way, it's like the nursing bay. What's her name again? Alexandra Heath, yes. You can tell that she's kicking out the guys, which is Elias, there's her guardian, and why it's because there are things that are difficult to say, especially to friends, to family, and guardians. So it's a way she's giving Chise, which needed privacy, to sort of talk about her problems. And also her guide right here. And you can see that they're all, those two are promptly kicked out. So yeah. And also what's interesting here is you can see where the caterpillar lays writing down information. Like, what I found kind of interesting is that compared to what I remember from previous seasons, there's a lot more detail when it comes to the shading. Like, even usually when you get with anime, you usually only get one type of shade. Normally it would just be this light gray color. But then but it's so detailed with like the fingers, there's actually 2 colors of shading, which adds additional depth. And there's a feeling of hyperrealism with how the hands are drawn, especially with how it's shaded and stuff. It's really interesting. See, you made fairy mess, nearly died. Took it into dragon's curse and nearly died. Got it by a wandering sorcerer, nearly died. And then he swept eyeballs and were given his course of immortality. Quite eventful, a series of eventful stuff. Seem reckless, but you've done well. Must think about the other people around you too, yeah. Because she's can be considered pretty impulsive. Can't hide in the shadows the entire time. And then you can see here is that Elias is kind of feeling a bit scared, yeah. He says, "Are you afraid?" Saying you might personally describe that as the sense of being afraid, yeah. Not a sensation like to experience for too long. So you could tell that Elias is feeling this sense of protectiveness over her. And why he's asking why did he come to college with her. Say it's her guard, yeah. So his goal is to protect her. 7 shields and not a monolith. Please do keep an eye on her, yeah. So, yeah, because because of Chise's constitution as a slave beggy, she's actually kind of vulnerable, but also she's very much a prize for other like magic users or mages. So yeah, doing such a thing in such a populous place. And here he is reminded of his teacher, who is the person in the wheelchair right here. Wonder what she's doing right now. And then we met this guy who we've met in season 1, who's like a teacher of another young lady. So, but is instead like a sorcerer. Oh yeah, what's interesting here is that you see in this shot, especially see how detailed her hair is and her eyes. Like, it's like so hyper detailed that it's immediately noticeable that there's a certain attention to care put into this part, especially if you can flashback some memories that aren't yours. Come sensing the malice, present gazes and things. Feeling well otherwise, yeah. And she could lift heavy things. And Camille is asking how many memories she can see. But she assumed it's around 1,000 because she swapped eyeballs with Joseph, who's the wandering Jew who's been very much alive for a very, very long time. more enough to dwarf your own awareness of the world? People ever tell you that your personality has changed, or do you consider options that you never would have in the past? No, not yet. So yeah, in a way, Chise has retained most of her personality. And then we see here's where she notices that someone is listening to her from behind. Who's there? Yeah. And then we get the lady with the purple hair and the white hair. Sorry, purple eyes and white hair, who we saw earlier. Like someone's watching me. You can see that she is hiding behind the door, or next to it. Only one I hate, yeah. Notoriously misanthropic from his student days. I'm hated, but not the intensity. You can see here that Elias is being quite vicious. Don't need to kill him. And what should I do for class? Yeah. And then here's where, because he's a teacher, he has to figure out how to teach students, and then the guy's giving him a manual. And we get her, Chise is introduced to the dorms. There's a dorm matron. And we learn that the dorm matrons are actually a group of cats right here. But it's interesting that she mentions here that not the kind of cats I know, because in season 1, she enters the land of the cats, where the cats are able to talk because of having 9 lives. The more older they are, the more wise they become. So it's kind of interesting. And she's the new one. So in a way, the matrons are trying to help her out. They keep secrets, but they're also cats. So yeah. Explain how they are the protectors of the children. And what do you want? Told me that I'm free. So yeah, so she picks Rosalind as her matron while she's here, based on how she yearns for freedom. Especially since Hattori Chise, her name is based off a bird, so it's very poetic in that way. You get all the rules on the desk, and then she meets her roommate, who is Lucy, who is introduced in the opening a bit. You can see here she's being pretty nervous because she doesn't want to wake up her roommate. She's super nervous. And she could tell that she's reminded of her past when back at the, what's the word? Back when she was younger. I think these are the middle school or high school uniforms. She was always on her own because of the fact that no one else could really understand her. Her parents have died. And she could see things that other people can't quite understand. So she was ostracized and bullied. And now I can tell that she's trying to sort of psych herself up. And then here she accidentally bangs into her roommate by accident. Yeah, quite interesting first interaction right here. Yeah, her name is Lucy Webster, and then they introduce each other. So yeah. So Lucy is gonna be sleeping until their class starts. You could tell, what's interesting also here is that you could tell that Chise's being especially quiet, so she doesn't wake up her roommate. So you can tell she's quite the considerate person. And she's gonna put on her uniform. Yep. And then she's texted by someone who's her friend Alice. So Alice is actually, if I can remember, is the student of the person who had the scar on his face, the one who doesn't like Elias. So she's her friend, so it makes sense. So Alice invited Chise to go to training, to train together. And here's where she sees this girl who's kind of exhausted but about to like fall, and Chise helps catch her because of that. And she's like, what do I even do? But yeah, and then we get to the end of the episode. It's like, overall, it's pretty much just the intro so far. But it just really, what's the word? It's just really nice to sort of be back into this world, as it's just been such a long time. Not that I'm not up to date with the manga, I am. I actually get updates every time a new chapter comes out. As pretty much recently, the college arc has officially ended in the manga. Even if the anime isn't going to adapt probably most of it. Probably adapt part of it at least. It's just nice to sort of pick up again once where we left off. So yeah. And then Chise was looking for the training room here. But yeah, it just like, it's really beautiful. And then you can see the ending sort of alludes to the relationship between Chise and this girl. It's not like a Yuri thing type of relationship, if I can remember. It's more like they're, in a way, Chise is trying to save the other girl. So, if you think about it, it's to a degree kind of similar to the relationship between Miurine and Stiller from Gundam Witch and Mercury. If simply less romantic and more like trying to help her kind of thing. So it's more platonic in comparison. And then we have a bit of a hint of the next episode, where she, you can see here is where Chise is starting to get into her classes. You meet the Fae. You can see Elias on the left right here. So yeah, and then we meet Alice again. Alice right here because of the training stuff, and then meets the little guy who's who helps what do you call it? Helps guide souls, yes. And Elias is saving a student here from getting wrecked. Birds of a feather flock together, yeah. And Elias again, yeah, because Elias is very much becomes a cutie. Even though it's just an appearance thing. But yeah, it's just like, I don't know, it's nice to be back again. Well, I'm not really sure whether I'll react to other episodes, but I'll definitely consider it because this is definitely one of my favorite series. Not as much as other series, I guess, but it's more, what do you call it? It's like more like a sentimental thing, I suppose. But yeah, thank you so much, and have a good rest of your day.